Welcome to our channel KUTTAA PAIYAA. Welcome Mr. Prabhujit and welcome Mr. Vijay Anand. We will start our show.
Yeah, hi viewers. Actually, we had done this program in Tamil with 4 assistant directors from the industry. Let me welcome Mr. Vijay Anand. This program was based on how to use NLP for script writing. Okay, so we got a good response, but unfortunately, the program was recorded in Tamil language. So we are doing this again in English. People from Telugu industry, Malayalam industry, or from Bollywood across India, they can also take a look at it, and then probably they'll find it useful. Okay. So with that, let me get into the introduction of Mr. Vijay Anand. Mr. Vijay Anand is basically a director who has studied DFT for direction, and he has also studied NLP as a coach. He's also a script doctor and a script auditor, and he's also from a corporate background. He had worked as a HR for several years, and in fact, he was owning a HR academy which was training HR professionals. Okay, and then he has few patented software also. So he's a kind of very creative and also more of a left brain and a right brain oriented person. So with that, I welcome Vijay. Vijay, welcome.
Thank you, Prabhujit, for that wonderful welcome note. Indeed, it's my pleasure to join you and share my thoughts on the science and neuro linguistic programmings of the industry. Thank you so much.
Okay, so let me get to the first question, Vijay. See, basically in the cine industry, say if I'm a director or a script writer, right? So I have this tendency that I feel my story, I'm writing it, right? So where is the need for this science or what is this jargon NLP? I mean, is it all like all hype without any substance? So why should I even listen to this? And then what is my takeaway? Can you give some kind of example or something to convince me that why using of NLP is first of all good for script writing?
Yes.
What is the need?
Yes. See, in all the work that we do, there is both art and science to it. For example, if we are playing a mridangam, right? Mridangam playing is an art, and the tala pramanam that comes between each beat, that is the science. Okay, so likewise, in each aspect that we indulge in each and every day, so there is a mix of science and art to it. So what we have learned several years in script writing as well as in the film industry is the art part of it. So what we have left out is the science. So we were writing the scripts in on paper earlier, and now we have started writing on a software. So why not we brush up into the science part of script writing and filmmaking, where this is a usual activity in the Western countries as well. So where a director concentrate on the direction, and a script writer or the screenplay specialist, they concentrate on that particular aspect alone. So that gives a boost up on usage of science. In terms of neuro linguistic programming, the terminology can be new for us, but it has been there for thousands and thousands of years together in our culture. Okay, for example, if we ran into a thorn, we use another thorn to remove that earlier thorn in our feet. But what happens if we get into the mud? Can we use another mud to remove this particular mud?
No.
This is not possible. So the conscious mind should work here, saying that what will work and what will not work for the human being. So this terminology can be new, but the kind of activity that we are doing, it is there for several years.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. So Vijay, basically in this particular program, what are all the 2 or the 3 core things in the NLP concepts? Because I think you told me NLP has around 100 concepts or something, right? But what are the three major areas we are going to touch? Can you just brief on, mention each one of them, and then we'll get into each one of them?
Yeah. Storytelling is part of NLP. Even NLP is domain agnostic. People in the medical field, they also learn NLP. For example, medical student who has the fear of looking into that surgery for the first time, they'll have a phobia, they'll have a fear. So doctors, senior doctors, they use psychological aspect to convey the medical students, saying that this is part of their learning, right? So likewise, in filmmaking also, in script writing also, there are NLP methods. One, we call it as nested loop. So the other one, metaphor. The third one is metamorphosis. Okay, so all these three, we can look at in terms of NLP in filmmaking, but there are several other concepts also. So nested loop is one of the interesting concept, like in several comedy and suspense movies, people have used this concept.
Got it. So Vijay, when you say nested loop, since I was also a software engineer, I think about this if else and then if else, something like that. So, but anyway, let's get into the nested loop in the interest of the viewers. Can you take any one Bollywood film that has come recently, and then probably that script was designed using this nested loop concept? Yes. Can you throw some light so that for an assistant director or a new writer, it will be very easy for them to follow what you are saying?
Yeah.
How it has been conceptualized?
Yes. So one of the recent hit is Andhadhun, where Ayushmann Khurrana is one of the stars in the movie. So where the hero is trying to act as a blind, that is the first nested loop that the story is getting created, where the director or the script writer do not want to expose, saying that this particular person can see. The second one is that the continuous drama happens after hero says that he cannot see, but he is an artist. Okay, and then he's been taken to a place where he meets one of the major character, Tabu, and there a murder happens. So this second nested loop happens here. So the hero sees the murder but pretends as if that murder has not happened. So likewise, each and every scene for one loop, there are several other loops getting embedded into the system. So how to remove that loops is what the director would say in the second half. So in the nested loop, the first half will be with twists and turns, and in the second half, those two twists and turns would be clarified. For example, Gupt is one of the very famous movie. In the first half, a lot of murders would happen, and the loops will be created, and police would suspect the hero that he has done the crime. But in the second half, each and every loop will get removed, and finally the truth is exposed. Okay, so even in comedy also we have tried. For example, old movie Golmaal with Amol Palekar, and then Hera Peri, Akshay Khanna kind of a movie. So where director or the scriptwriter wants to engage the viewers. So this is very interesting concept. Yeah.
So Vijay, let me rephrase it for my own understanding. When you say a nested loop, right? By a loop, what you mean is, as a writer, I make a decision which sets in motion certain consequences, right? Say, suppose Ayushmann Khurrana decides that he is going to act as a blind person, but he is not. So that is one consequential decision I'm making as a writer. So that consequence leads to some other consequence. That consequence leads to some other consequence. So this is a kind of, I'm tying a knot in the beginning, in the first half of the movie, or probably in Act 1 or Act 2. and then probably in the
Yeah.
act 3 I'll be doing the unlock. I'll be untying the knot, basically. Is that
Correct,
what?
correct.
Right. Okay, I got it. Same thing holds for Gupt,
Yes.
right? Because in Gupt they will show the killer. The killer will come with
Yeah.
wearing a jacket right from the first scene. They'll do a murder, and it
Yeah.
will fall on Bobby Deol's name. He will try to clear that and all that stuff, and then finally that
Yes.
unlocking that thing will happen in. Got it.
Correct.
So what you are saying is this kind of a nested loop is one particular structure or pattern available in NLP using which you can create a story. That's all you're trying, right? You're trying
Very true. Very true. There is a
Got it.
thin line between suspense and suspense thriller and nested loops. For example,
Okay.
if the killer is exposed right from the first scene, then that becomes a suspense. Okay. For example, Basigar. People know that Shah Rukh Khan is doing the crime, but the main person, heroine, do not know. But in Gup, the secret is maintained till the last scene. So that is where the difference comes between suspense thriller and the nested loops.
But one question, Vijay.
Yeah.
The Shah Rukh Khan is a killer that is revealed to the audience. It's an open-ended thing. But it
Yes.
then comes under thriller only, right? It is not suspense because it is suspense for the heroine,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Probably Kajol
Yes.
or whoever is the heroine in the movie, it is a suspense
Yes,
for
yes.
them.
Only for
But it's
them,
not-
it's a suspense. For our,
Right.
it's a thriller movie.
Got it. Very good. So this is one pattern. How many such patterns are there in LLP to create stories?
There are hundreds of patterns, but relevance to filmmaking, there are 8 patterns.
Got it. Relevant to filmmaking, there are 8 patterns, and then genre-wise, there are straightforward genres, right?
Yeah, there are 35 plus genres. There are major genres and there are subgenres also. For example, adventure can be one genre, or romance can be one genre. So likewise, we have to decide. For example, same Gupta or Andhadhun could have been made in a different genre, but that effect would have not been created like what it has created right now.
Got it.
So genre is
Okay.
really important.
So I think this comes to that pizza slide, right? I think for the interest of the viewers, we'll show the pizza slide. So in the
Okay.
pizza slide, you show that there is a crust, and then there are different slices are there, and then you put
Correct.
some pepper, you put all the toppings and all that. So like that, your writer is trying to constitute like a pizza story, right? You have finished the film
Very
script,
true.
right? Can you please elaborate on the different things? What does the crust mean? And from the knot, how does it go? I mean, basically for the clarity of the viewers, can you please elaborate a little bit on the pizza model?
Yeah. So basically, the base becomes the genre. The base is the crux, that we are talking about. If the base is not proper, then whatever toppings that you are adding on top of it, that will not stick onto the base. When you serve the food, to people, automatically whatever there on the top, that comes out of the crust. So base, we can take it as a genre. On top of it, we have to fix proper plots. Okay, there are 20 plus plots are there, and on top of it, we have to fix the dramatic situations. There are 30 plus dramatic situations here, and on top of it, we have to build characters. Characters, there is no limitations. You can have 100 characters also in one scene, Bahubali, for example, or we can also have one person in a scene also. Like how you are going to make it interesting, and on top of it, you are adding cheese, right? Cheese and the toppings that you are opting out. Those will be the characters that are playing in the movies. So to make it interesting, so pizza comes in round shape, but it has a box of square, right? So likewise, we are cutting down the pizza into each segment. That becomes a scene. When you pick out one particular piece, so automatically it gets connected with another piece through a cheese. Okay, so likewise, screenplay should be built between one scene and the other scene. So for example, if first scene talks about a crime, second scene should be relevant to the first scene. So likewise, we have to build.
Got it. Got it. So one important question here from
Yeah.
a writer point of view. Suppose, say, I got this beautiful knot idea. I'm very excited. I got a great knot, right? So
Right.
I believe from the knot, the genre will arise, right? It might be a genre, or it might be two genres combined also can come. I can combine
Yes.
two knots
Yes.
also and create a story, right? So starting point is
Yes.
a knot. And from the
Correct.
knot, how does this, where should I, at what step should I use the NLP? After the knot itself, I should pick the genre, I should pick the plot, I should pick the subplot, I should pick the characterization. Everything you mean to say, we have to apply NLP at that in the beginning itself. So where does this
Correct.
process start, NLP process?
Yeah. So right from the first step, we have to start using the NLP. For example, if you are getting a knot, we have to determine whether it's a primary knot or the sub knot. If it is a primary knot, it is very easy for you to write down the next step. If it is sub knot, you have to find a primary knot. So that's where genre comes into play. Once you find a knot, for example, hero and heroine, they are looking at a crime. So what should be the genre? Whether it should be a suspense or a thriller or a romantic thriller. So that should be decided by the scriptwriter. Then only they can create more scenes. To create more scenes, there is a process of 5W1H formula. So right from the first scene, scriptwriter have to apply this particular formula to create sub scenes as well as more characters.
But what is this
For
5W,
example,
1H? What is 5W? What is 1H? What are 5Ws?
5W, yeah, 5W is who, what, why, where, when. Okay, and 1H is how. So if it is a crime has been happened, when it has happened, at what time it has happened, and where it has happened, why it has happened, then how it has happened. So once you create these procedures, then it's easy for you to build more characters, and it automatically takes you to the other scenes.
Got
Okay,
it. Got it.
so if the first scene has an inspector and a murderer, the second scene will have the sub scenes of the inspector and the murderer. So like this.
Got it. Got it. So Vijay, you mentioned something like a design thing, right? This looks to me like it's a detailed design, what they say in the software and the hardware process, right? So is
Yeah.
there something like a design thinking process or something in NLP which gives
Yes.
you a structure for a scriptwriter to organize these pieces together?
Yes. Earlier people used to do indexing. So indexing in the sense like now they use color paper notes, and they stick it on the wall, and they take it forth and back according to their imagination. For example, the first scene is A, second scene is B, C, D, and if the scriptwriter decides D should be the first scene, then it is easy for them to swap D notepad into the before A notepad. Okay,
Right.
so this was used before. Now this can be done on design thinking as well. So for example, we spoke about 5W1H kind of a formula. The first scene should have creative image of that particular incident and what happened around that particular incident. And from there, A1, A2, A3, A4, A5 kind of scenes can be created. And then A1 can be the second scene, that is B. Then B1, B2, B3 scenes will be created. And if the scriptwriter wants to engage viewers in a closer manner, they can also choose C1 as A. So this swapping mechanism is called as design thinking. So only if you put down all your writings in a visual manner, you will be able to imagine the outcome even before the audience looks into your product.
Got it. One more question. So from what you say,
Yeah.
I think this design thinking can be during the script writing also, and this is a little bit digressing, but editing also you can do the same, right? Which scene to come after what scene to create an impact? Can there be a design thinking for editing using NLP?
Yes. For example, there is a small difference between design thinking, and storyboard. Storyboard can be created only after you finalize a script, not before the script. But to create a script itself, you need design thinking. Okay, so
Okay.
if you approach storyboard illustrator, they will ask you the entire script. If you say no, I am just visualizing the first scene and third scene and fourth scene, they will not be able to create an image that you are looking for. So using the visual mechanism, you should create all these scenes prior to creating the storyboard.
Got it. One more important doubt I'm getting. See, suppose you said
Yeah.
there is a scene A, and then based on that, you will create A1, A2, A3, A4, A5 surrounding, right? Right? And then you have a
Yeah.
scene B, and then you will have a B1, B2, B3, B4, right? As
Yeah.
an example, let me tell you, there is a murder happening. The hero and the heroine sees the murder, right? So
Right.
after that, the hero goes from the place where murder happens. That is A1 scene. Heroine goes to a different place. That is A2. Okay. Police
Correct.
come to the scene. That is A3. Okay. Something like that. Let's
Right.
keep A1, A2, A3, and then the scene B is the murderer actually goes and rests somewhere and thinks about the murder. Let us take this is B.
Correct.
And then he calls somebody that is B1, something like that, right? So something which is focused
Correct.
on the murderer. Now, my question is,
Correct.
after in the script itself, after A1, you can show B, right? And then B1, right?
Yes.
The
Yes.
flow,
It is.
the screen flow. You can do that.
Yeah. So the flow will be finalized by the scriptwriter and the director itself. So to
Got
get that flow, you need a complete picture, right from A to Z. The director can decide to convey audience that Z should be the first scene. So it is up to the director on how they are going to present it. For example, we are saying the first scene, there should be a crime. The director can think there can be one romance scene followed by a crime scene also. So whether that is syncing or not, using design thinking, we have to see
Got it.
whether
Got it.
that
I got it.
fit into the picture.
Got it. So one important question here. We
Yeah.
spoke about characters, right? So there is a very important question,
Yeah.
right? So how do I
Yeah.
make sure as a writer when I create a character, that character is something which is generally we observe and they say you take it from real life, you mix two characters, create a character. From your personal life you
Right.
inspire or from your, so you do all that stuff. But is there something like a concrete, I remember you talking about some behavior patterns, right? Is there some
Yes.
behavior
Yes.
pattern available in NLP which a writer can pick up from to create
Very
powerful
much.
characters?
Yeah, very much. See, we say that map is not territory, and a photo of a person cannot be the real emotions of the person. Okay, so when you say, if you look at the Google Maps, you will not know the depth and wideness of the road. Okay, so only when you get into the street, you will know the entire picture. Like how you should meet the person and know the emotional capabilities. And also, when it comes to human being, we are only talkative of 20 percentage. We communicate through non-communication methods for more than
Body
80
language.
percentage of through body language, postures, signs, and the tone. The difference between how are you and how are you is different, right? So if we do not like somebody, we can say, "How are you? I am looking at you." The tone gets difference, right? So we communicate through non-communication methods most of the time. So NLP emphasizes on this particular aspect, and it says there are a lot of kinds of behavior that a human being exposes at each and every point of time. Okay, there is a human behavior wheel, that I have shared. That is a basic wheel, and there are in-depth wheels also, through which we need to understand the characteristics of human beings.
Got it. Vijay. So basically, it's like innumerable, right? Because there are
Yeah,
7
yeah.
billion or 8 billion people in the world, and everybody is different, and everybody is a mix of
Yes,
good and
yes.
bad and stuff, prejudices, and then stuff. So with all that stuff,
Very
we
true.
can create whatever we want, right? Okay, very good. So
Yes,
now,
yes.
now one more important question I get when you talk about this. See, you talked about this body language, right? So there is this
Yeah,
energy that an actor brings to the screen, right? Suppose you have written a very beautiful script with superb behavior for a character, right? For the main lead.
yeah.
But now, is there any guideline or something which a director can use on how to direct and get that performance from the actor? Is it something is there? Because I think the actor totally brings a different energy, right? One actor might portray differently with
Correct,
the body language. Another actor might
correct.
portray. Is there some broad guidelines or anything available for a
Yes,
director
yes.
regarding performance?
Yes, yes. There is a basic, body language manual is available, and through which, directors can determine the characteristics and what that particular character will do according to this particular body language. So, in this particular aspect, both director as well as the actor should be trained in the body language, in the non-communication methods like body language, signs, postures, and the tone also. So once they are enabled in one particular aspect, then it is easy for them to get the outcome.
Got it, Vijay. Very good, very beautiful. So I think we covered about this pizza, which is like higher level stuff, which
Yeah,
is laying the script structure or something like to say what makes up. Then we thought about the
yeah,
design thinking, which is how you go
yeah,
about creating more scenes and then relationship between scenes and stuff. Then we talk about creating characters, which is this character behavioral wheel model, and then
yeah.
things. I am getting a general question. Generally, directors use flashbacks. Directors use voiceovers. There are different mechanisms by which you tell a story, right? Do we
Yes,
have any guidelines available for those kind of things? Like if you do a voiceover intro, or you do a 2D animation intro for some portion of the movie, or there are so many things, right? So, do
yes.
you get guidelines for those kind of things as well? How to do general guideline or something like that to NL?
Yes, yes. See, the science of storytelling it is same for everything, but there are certain inputs that we can do. For example, for animation or web series or serials and like the features, the characters and 5W1H has to be written in a different way. So in feature film, the high comes later, but if it comes to web series, for every 20 minutes we have to give that high. So it is purely based on the 5W1H and design thinking aspect that we have to use
Got
here.
it, got it. I think you brought up a very beautiful point. So what you basically said is, if I'm a writer, I'm writing for a TV series with 100 episodes, then that
Yeah,
5WH and then that behavior, little bit I have to tweak to fit to the TV soap audience. And
correct,
say if
correct.
I'm doing a web series for 8 episodes, then some customization needs to happen in the writing. And
Very
if it's
true.
a feature film, you will have a high and a low point and an emotional graph and stuff. Basically, you have
Correct.
guidelines available for those things, right? Basically,
Everything.
how to.
Yes, yes.
Got it, got it.
Yeah,
I think this is very good, Vijay. And one more thing to the audience, Vijay is actually a script doctor and a script auditor. I think from what we discussed, I think you guys would have got an awareness about how, if you want to set up a factory kind of thing and churn out scripts which has a potential to become a hit, right? You can use all this kind of science beyond it. So you can avail his services. He's also an external consultant for films. He can come and work in your film as a script doctor or a script consultant. And then he's also kind of running a course for assistant directors and the writers who are starting, basically on how to use this NLP for to become a better script writer or to churn out better scripts. I think he has like a 1 month something. Vijay, can you little bit brief about what is it that you are offering the potential writers? What is the value and how is the program structured or something like that? Can you please throw some light on it?
yeah. So this program is called a Science of Storytelling, which covers the Neuro Linguistic programming, 5W1H formula, and design thinking and non-communication methods for writers and directors. It can also be for fresher and the experienced people. They can also update their skills. And this program consists of 30 hours of training package, where each and every day we can connect for 1 hour. This will have 30% of theoretical and 70% of practical exposure. We have been doing this program for quite some time right now.
Got it. And I know, Vijay, that already some people have enrolled in your course. Basically, we did this thing in Tamil, and then few people have seen it. They were interested, and they have already signed up.
Yes.
And the course is happening. So we will also try to get some feedback about the course from them once they go to a certain stage in the course, actually. So I think, Vijay, from my standpoint, I think I am covered. My only question, this might be a little bit on more of cinema itself. Let me ask you a question, like, say, NLP is a domain agnostic stuff, right? So if I'm an actor, I'm say in the beginner stage or in a middle stage or little bit advanced stage, but I have not become a virtuoso where I go to the set and they brief me, and then I just like that I crack the lines, I do that. I have not come to that stage. This use of NLP is basically how do I command my subconscious to be in the flow state and be like an effortless actor or effortless scriptwriter or effortless musician, right? So are you equipped to train those aspects also, or right now you're only focusing on script writing?
No, I'm also focusing on actors as well. So for fresh people, like they need to come for audition. At that time of audition, they will have anxiety and fear. So how to remove anxiety and fear at that particular point of time, and whatever situations that are given to them, how to use these particular non-communication methods like body language, postures, signs and tones at that point of time. And if people ask these guys to cry instantly, the tears should come immediately. So in these aspects also we train actors, right from the basic to the advanced level of non-communication method.
Got it. That's beautiful. I think so. For the viewers, if you're an upcoming budding actor, you can reach out to him. We'll share his mobile number in this program below in the white text. So you can reach out to Vijay Anand and you can make use of his services. I'm sure it will be helpful to all of you in your career. You can save years probably in your career. So Vijay, thank you for joining, and thank you for briefing me and the users, educating us through this program. So Ravi sir, do you want to give any closing comments, please?
Thank you very much, Mr. Vijay Anand and Mr. Prabhujit. This is a best show in our channel, I think so. Thank you very much, both of you.
Thank you very much. And I wish Vijay and all the viewers who are seeing this to make utilize of this very good opportunity to make sure you shine brightly in your artistic career.